Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. Feels like we just talked, but hey, well, we're all probably down to the dumps about the Lions letting go of Amik Robertson and Alex Anzalone, two of the favorite sons of the Detroit Lions defense the past few years. You know what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about something good news here. Superfan Hutch, why don't you walk us through it? Because the Lions might have just solved one of the biggest pieces they had to face this offseason.
Yeah, breaking news: Lions signed center Kade Mays, 3 years, 25 million, 14 million guaranteed, about 8 million a year, 8.3. He was projected to go 12 million a year, so Brad Holm gets him under that 12 million a year. This is a great signing. He was really good at the Panthers. I think he's allowed maybe 2 sacks in 2 or 3 years out there. He's 27. You get him on a 3-year deal. Our biggest hole last year is now filled. Now I think you look at left tackle would be the next one, and then you go defense, and then you go to the draft. You have a nice pick at 17. So Kade Mays, welcome to Detroit. Love the signing. Thank you, Brad Holmes. What are the haters going to say now?
Well, I guess that's the $1 million question, but let's face it, the Lions, this offseason, with the release of Dave Montgomery, with the moves that we've seen today with Meek Robertson and Alex Anzalone going, they're trying to get younger across the board, it would appear. Mays, we get it. He's going to come into perhaps the biggest spot or need for this team on the offensive line. When you look at this signing, there's a shortage across the NFL, it seems like right now, of quality centers. You've seen everybody retire in the last few weeks, teams having to make almost desperation moves. Lions got younger significantly and got one of the bigger up-and-coming guys at the center position. What does this do for the Detroit Lions offensive line, which last year, you could say maybe had fallen down quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it dead on the head. I mean, everyone knows our O-line was our biggest problem last year. If we have an O-line, we might win 2 of those games. We might be in the playoffs. Who knows what happens? Kade Mays coming in fills that hole. We also did get Juice Shrugs from the Texans in that trade, who is better than what we had last year in most of the guys we had. That's a huge depth signing by Brad Holmes in the trade with Montgomery. Give him credit on that one. The guy was a second-round pick. He can play pretty much everywhere. I think the new next signing should be left tackle. I know everyone's going to probably crucify me on this, but if you're looking at anywhere, call the 49ers and get that left tackle out there. I don't think there's any news of what he's going to do with the 49ers. Yes, he's old. Yes, he's 37, but the guy is arguably still one of the top left tackles in the thing. If you're going to let Taylor Decker go, that could be the guy to go get. I don't know who else is out there that would really make a big splash, but if Brad Holmes and Dan are sitting here saying, hey, we want to rebuild this whole line, you got to go do it. I know Decker was one of those guys that everyone thought he was coming back. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Whether he's released, whether he comes back on a re-signing, who knows? But filling the center was the biggest need, I think, of this roster, and they did it with this guy.
It was about a week ago. I'm just going through the list here of news. Maybe not even that. Maybe just like last Thursday that you and I know, had some conversations off air about Kade Mays because we had the video where at least he was one of the bigger options out there floating around behind closed doors. Lions were trying to have some conversations with the signing. And now we get the word that it was, in fact, him that the Lions were trying to sign and did sign. Left tackle, do you think if they can't get somebody in free agency here, is that any kind of indication that perhaps the Detroit Lions are just going to stay in-house or attacking during the draft? Because we've heard some stuff that Decker's gone, Penei Sewell slides over, Miles Frazier or Timbuktu plays the right tackle spot. Proctor, I know, has been a name thrown out there in the draft. There's been a lot of names thrown out there, but do you think the Lions are more likely to hit it with a current player on staff or somebody, I guess, in the draft?
That's a really good question. I'm not a big fan of Proctor. Go watch his tape. He's just not great. I would not.
He's a guard.
Yes, he is a guard. And he's kind of made it known that he doesn't really want to play guard in the NFL. He wants to stay a tackle. The big question is, if they restructure Penei, does he move to left? If they don't restructure him, does he stay right? My next question on it, there's still some names out there if they do restructure Panay and he moves. You got names of um, Zeitler is still out there. You could bring him back if he wants to come back to Detroit. I would not mind that at all. You also have, let's see, Jermaine Ellimore from New York Giants, who's a really good name. Juwan Taylor from Kansas City could be a name that if Pineda slide to left, you could bring him in, or you call the 49ers and get that guy. But, I don't know the discourse if they've even talked about Panay sliding the left tackle. I mean, it would be great. I mean, he's familiar. He's played there. He can play there. I just think it's going to be easier to find a right tackle than a left tackle.
Agree.
We will definitely see what the conversation there is. But if they sign a right tackle, we know Panay sliding the left tackle. That would be the easiest slide. Move Panay over, sign a right tackle, and go about that. And then, you basically have the draft. But yeah, I would like to see them if they do just say, hey, you know what? We got our center. We're going to go to the draft and left tackle. A couple guys, Fanu from Utah. You got that guy, Francis from Miami. There's a lot of guys that they could get. I've been hearing things that they would not mind trading up to get the guy that they want. I would like to see them, if they don't do something in this free agency, to trade up and get a huge DN prospect. But that's just me. We'll see if Brad does that. But yeah, there's a lot of names, and this draft is loaded, man. There's some big names in day 2s and 3s that they could even get. The guy, there's Slaughter from Florida. He's going to be a piece for a center. You got the guys from Iowa. They're nice. You got the Penn State guy. There's a lot of names, man, and I'll be interested in what Brad Holmes does.
For those who just maybe are joining us, Lions lost 2 of their favorite players from the defense. That's Meek the Freak Robinson and Alex Thor Anzalone. They're going to leave to take new offers with other teams. Then quickly after that, the Lions struck and signed Kade Mays to fill the center position. Lions have a lot of guys in-house, though, that could compete for offensive line spots. If you look at the defense for the draft, and obviously there's a long time before we get to the draft, but if you had to guess right now, Hutch Jr., where do you think the Lions go with the first-round pick? Because last week, whenever it was, I think Thursday or Friday or sometime like that, there were some whispers coming out that the Lions and the Saints had some conversations about potentially moving off a couple of their players for a Lions draft pick or 2.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's so up in the air too because of what we do right here. I mean,
right.
if we fill left tackle, we just go best player available. And whether that be DN, whether that be tight end, whether that be whatever, But yeah, I mean, if Brad Holmes fills out what he wants to do in free agency, I think he's just going best player available, and we've seen that with Brad. We've seen that he does some kind of trade. He gets the player, he fills a hole, and then he just goes best player available. I'm very interested to see with this Terrion news what's going to happen. I haven't really heard of anything recent. I would think Terrion's probably in the clear right now. But if he kind of gets in trouble, then now you need another corner. But who knows? If, like I said, if Brad fills it, then he's just going best player, and there we go.
All right, Hutch Jr., let's wrap this one up because I'm guessing we're all going to be chomping the bit, stuck to our devices, our computers, whatever, for the next 3 or 4 days, paying attention to free agency. But if you were Brad Holmes right now, is there 1 or 2 free agents you would go after at this point? Because Mays, probably one of the bigger signings most Lions fans didn't think was possible. If you guys don't know, he was one of the higher graded centers in the league last year, especially the second half of the season. But where would you go if you were Brad Holmes at this point?
Get me another D end next to my all-pro guy on the other end. Please, Brad Holmes, I'm begging you, quit doing this Davenport stuff. Just get me somebody. I just want this guy to play 16 games, whatever it may be. Just let this guy help Hutch out. I'm so tired of seeing Hutch getting double, triple teamed. The guy come off a career injury. The guy still had 15 and a half sacks last year, 14 and a half sacks, whatever it may be. Get this guy some help. Whether or not I expect us to re-sign AQM. I really do. I think he'll be back as a depth piece, and then we get another DN on the other side. Just please bring in somebody next to Hutch, and that's what your best defense is, your pass rush. It's going to take a load off the secondary. We haven't had it in a while. Please, Brett Holmes, just do something. I don't care. Just that's what I want.
All right, no more Mark Davenport signings. I see the comment section exploding with that one. Hutch Jr., why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, support you, all the things that you do, and all the content you produce.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me on, Dan. As always, you do great work, and thanks for putting everyone on. So, as always, you can find me on here with Dan. You can find me on Facebook at the Lions Den, and as always, you can find me on Twitter, Superfan Hutch.
All right, Duke Crew, keep your notifications on. Stay glued to your screens because we're probably in for a little bit of a wild ride this week. We'll see you guys all on the very next Lions Talk Live. Take care, all.